I'm recommending the Shakespeare graphic books. It's a series of books in which you teach Shakespeare to EAL students. It can also be used for SEN or low ability students. You have the student book, which has the whole scene in comic form, and as well as that you've got the set scenes or key scenes within the play, which are in full. There is the teacher guidebook as well that goes with it, with worksheets and activities, and it's all photocopyable, so you can use that within the lessons. I think the main thing that I like with this resource is it makes Shakespeare accessible to students, all students really, but especially the English as additional language because of the simple language and the picture version, and it just makes teaching it more engaging, more interesting and easier for the students. The students absolutely love the book. They really enjoy using it and find they are actually understanding the play a lot better than if I just handed them a copy of one of the Shakespeare plays. I think obviously £40 for a set of 6 is quite expensive, but it really does help the children because you're gaining the grades and the love for Shakespeare. And the teacher book as well is £40. It's photocopyable, you can use it as many times as you like, so again I think it's really good value for money.
I do think it's an effective resource for use with EAL students, and actually overall for use as an English resource for lower ability students. There's little sections at the bottom where they're required to think about things, discuss things, which is good for oral work. So I think it's a good resource for more advanced students within EAL.
I will not use it for beginners because these are mostly related to Key Stage 4 coursework and everything on it. And it will be for the advanced EAL learners, not for the beginners.
These speech bubbles all have very short sentences in there. They're short, they're concise, and they're to the point. And with EAL students, that's what they need, especially with something like Shakespeare, which is such a difficult piece of work to read and understand if you're fluent. If you're not fluent, it's even harder.
In terms of the book, the graphics are useful in actually reinforcing the text, but it's still using Shakespearean language, even though a reduced amount. So really, you're looking at your higher stage learners rather than your beginners.
I picked up on this particular resource I liked in particular because it was short, got lots of good bullet points. It's got the 4 W's there as well, so they will be loving a question like that, why you want to fight, because they can just answer it with one word underneath it, or where you want to fight, you know, outside in the playground. Just kidding, but something short and sweet like that would be really good for them.
As much as I like it, I'm not so sure whether I would like to spend that amount of money for that.
I think it wouldn't be a resource that you would roll out across the whole of the school because it is quite an expensive resource. However, for a selected target group of students, I do feel that it would represent good value for money.
The first tip that I would give would be to keep lesson objectives very short and very concise, very to the point. This helps EAL students with their understanding because they're not copying down lengthy words which they might not understand. And word searches are fantastic to use because what you can then do with a word search is once the kids have found the word, you could ask them for definitions.
I'm recommending a dual language resource from BAS. The first section is a glossary of words and phrases in about 16 languages. The second part is a maths screening test for Year 7, but actually can be used for any new arrival to test basic math skills. If you click on to the glossary of words, and you can see there's quite an extensive range. It gives the translation plus a transliteration so staff can actually try and say the word to the pupil, which can be useful. You can print off the resource, but also on screen it has an audio facility.
Baked, bake করে রান্না করা, beef, গরুর মাংস.
This is useful because sometimes children may not be literate in their home language, so having the audio allows those children to still access the resource.
Boiled, সিদ্ধ.
In addition, it has survival language, so things like please sit down, can I go to the toilet, all those things that pupils need in their first few weeks at school. Just this morning I had a new pupil from Bangladesh, and I played this resource to him, and there was a big smile on his face. It can be quite frightening if you're coming to school, perhaps you're an isolated learner, the fact that you have a resource in your own language immediately not just gives them learning, but actually makes them feel as if you're taking interest in them.
I found that the maths screening test was very good. As far as the other elements of the CD, having the words in English, then in a translated language, and then the transliteration of the word, although that's very useful, there's no meaning of the word, and you're assuming that they understand what the word means just by hearing it in their language.
There is the option there to have some pronunciation and to listen to it being spoken, but I don't think that's particularly useful because the actual audio that you're hearing is done by someone in their home language, so the pronunciation is not always as effective as it should be.
Cake, cake, cheese, paneer.
It splits up all the words into particular categories, which I did find really useful, because where you've got them in the different categories, you can print and select the ones that you want to use.
I would use it as my initial assessment of a student coming into school, and I will use it for ongoing assessment and learning in the classroom. It's what we are using in the school, and I'm even going to introduce that to some of my colleagues in other schools.
There's quite a limited range of languages available. Although there's a number on there, there are also kind of a lot of common languages that aren't found on there.
It wasn't so much subject-based, it was much more of a broad way. So in that sense it's very good because it helps them sociably. Like there was a section on there on food and drink and on common phrases. So in that sense it was fantastic for them to use, but if they can't read it, it's no use to them.
With a little bit more work from kind of teaching and support staff, you can print off your own translation sheets that would be just as useful. So personally I think it's not a resource I would recommend, and I wouldn't purchase it myself.
Now, with the work it's going to be doing, I think it's value for money. I will purchase it.
One resource that is very useful for EAL pupils is the game Guess Who. You can get generic ones or buy a branded one, but it's a really good resource for learning questions and answers, and also things like descriptions of people, colours, items of clothes, and it's great fun for the kids as well.
My name is Nina Patel. I'm the EAL coordinator at Hatch End High School, and I'm recommending the Recorder Pen. And it allows you to listen to subject-specific key vocabulary in various other languages. I have here the English Terms Explained poster, which you can use with the talking pen. And the way in which you use this is to first click on the start box in the top right-hand corner, then select the language you wish to use, for example, Polish. Now you're ready to use the pen by clicking on one of the square boxes. What it will do is give you the definition of the word, as well as saying the word in English, and an example.
Alliteration. Aliteracja. Jest to powtórzenie jednej lub kilku liter.
And although there are many languages available to use, we do have the ability now with the Recorder Pen to record other languages and add those on at the bottom. One of the new possibilities is the new talking labels which are available. You switch the mode to record, press the number.
Record.
My name is Nina. Press the stop key. You can peel the sticky label off and put it anywhere you like. For example, I can stick it here on me. When I press it with the pen,
My name is Nina.
it will play back what I've recorded. Students that have used the product absolutely love it. They are keen to use it, they enjoy recording on there, playing back to the others within the group. It's been used in mainstream because it's got the headphone capability on there, so it's not disruptive to everybody else, and they absolutely love it.
I think the recorder pen is fantastic. It works really, really well, especially with the students coming in with little or no English. The only thing I would say is we're a very big school for EAL learners and we have over 40 languages, and it only covers a majority of those. So for me, if we could have some more languages on the pen, it would be worthwhile for our school.
It's actually quite cool. It's one of those things that the kids will love to use, and they'll really enjoy it when you get it out and find it quite a lot of fun. And I find it quite fun as well. However, that's a problem, it's a bit too fun in that the educational value of it can get lost in the fun of clicking on it and listening to it talking.
The students' response was really positive. They did really enjoy carrying it out. They themselves could not really see any disadvantages of using this, except for some of the words. They sort of said, oh, it's a bit easy, but then I guess when they come in, we need to evaluate how much they know.
The recordable items, I do find them much more useful. You can put them in books, for example, next to complex terms, which will explain exactly what you want to explain for that particular lesson.
What I really like about this resource is that you can make your own posters. So for example, I did this worksheet on cells.
The cytoplasm is where chemical reactions occur.
You can re-record on the stickers, so the life of them is actually quite high.
We tried it out with the science and the maths and they were fantastic. English and geography we haven't tried out, but I'm sure that they'll be just as successful. But something like this, which is so easy to use, I don't see why every department shouldn't have one.
As an initial outlay, compared to other resources available, it's probably not that expensive. However, for the amount of use that I feel you get out of it, I do think it's a big investment.
It can be used by a majority of students within the same language, so it can be used more than once, and therefore it is value for money.